Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning from wherever you are, and welcome to my review of Twisted Metal, the series. I've got the sun beaming in my face, I'm sweating, and I've got cramps. So I'm going to make this quick because, the show's not really worth a lot of my time. So, full backed, it's an adaptation of a game of a beloved franchise in the early days of the PlayStation 1 that came out and blew us all away. And I'm one of them. I'm a huge Twisted Metal fan. I've got about 5 games from the Twisted Metal franchise. And whilst doing this video, I found out there were way more games made than the 5 that I have. I was like, I didn't know, but a lot of them didn't even come out in the UK. And that's why. So, boo, ya boo sucks to you, Britain. Anyway, so this show is an adaptation of that game. But if you saw the first trailer, you're like, what in the hell is this? This isn't the game. This has nothing to do with the game at all. This is just a comedy, and it's a crap comedy. And what the hell have you done? Why have you butchered this game? And again, by the way, spoiler talks in this, full spoilers. So the premise of this is some Y2K-like event happened in the year 2002, and technology and everything's kind of busted, and so people are just surviving on, petrol, and so it got like a Mad Max vibe to it, but with delivery driving. So Anthony Mackie's character is a courier, so he goes from one end to the other. They're called milkmen, and you've got to deliver packages, and basically you've got to survive. There's a bunch of people there that are trying to kill you. Stars of the show were Stephanie Beechum, Rosa from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Sweet Tooth, played by Samoa Joe, and Will Arnett. Will Arnett does the voice. Samoa Joe is Sweet Tooth. What a wonderful combination they are. I want to see more of Sweet Tooth. He was the star of the show. And Stephanie Beecham, she went through every emotion you can imagine in this show, and she was wonderful. I absolutely loved her character in this. She and Sweet Tooth were the main reasons to watch it. Nothing against Anthony Mackie, great actor. But again, his role was very straightforward. But I like that he plays a bit of a dick in this as well. So, those were the 3 main standouts. And Thomas Hayden Church as the villain as well was very good. He was like the main villain. He plays a cop. And, Stephanie Beecham's character, Quiet's basically, when her and her brother get caught by them, they're forced to choose who's going to die between her and her brother. Her brother sacrifices himself, and so her plot is to get revenge on the guys that forced them to choose, and her brother took her life. And her story, her backstory, you see a lot of, is very tragic, and it's so beautifully done and well acted. And it just shows you how cruel and horrible the world is that we live in. It's no real different to today's world, to be perfectly honest. But another good thing about the show is that you don't get none of the kind of messaging or bollocks that you get in a lot of shows these days, especially like in your Disneys and your Warner Brothers shows and all this kind of shit. It's dealing with how the world progressed in its timeline. So although the world is like, Armageddon has happened and all this kind of shit, and so we're living in like a post-apocalyptic society, you're not getting the kind of modern messages that you'd get in other shows, even though they'd be like in the middle of fucking space or unrelated to Earth or Earth issues, and you're just like, well, that's what I liked about that. Now, the show overall was crap. It wasn't great, but it was crap, but you enjoyed watching. Yeah, so bad it's good, basically. That's the best description I can give the show. It's so bad it's good. There's a lot of moments you're going to skip. But you know what? They had a lot of fun with it. It is very childish in a lot of the humour, very silly. But, I sat through it, I watched it, and I was like, okay, yeah, this show is crap, but I don't hate it, if that makes sense. Like, I watch other shows and I'll just hate. But I think with a lot of shows, I'm more invested. Like, if it's a MCU thing, I'm invested in the characters because I love the comics. So to see them being butchered is a goddamn nightmare. But to see it in Twisted Metal, which is a game adaptation, which is not a very serious game, it's fine. It's fine. But the one thing they did do good in this show is that they set up for the second series, which is the Twisted Metal Tournament. So after everything that was scoffed at and criticized, it's actually just a prequel series to the main course, and that made it worth watching this fucking show, because then you're like, aha, you're just setting up all these characters that you could choose in the game, and you've put them in different pockets throughout the series, and they're going to be in the main tournament in the upcoming second series, if we get a second series. And I'm like, okay, that's actually good. That's actually really, they actually did a good job with that. It really, like, I've never had this before in the show where you're kind of watching like, this is really crap, and then by the last episode you're like, well, that was crap, pointless, went nowhere, like a lot of the Disney Plus shows. But this was like, alright, well, that was crap, but it sets up for the main course that we all wanted to see the adaptation about. So that's okay. It makes it a lot more tolerable. So, yes. Should you watch the show? If you enjoy watching things that are so bad they're good, watch this show. Like, the violence is hilarious in it. They don't mess about. The absurdity in it, the vulgarity is wonderful. There are some great actors in this as well, as I've said. And, even Jason Mantzoukas is in this, and he plays what Jason Mantzoukas always plays, which is that kind of crazy, like, he was Rosa's boyfriend in the Brooklyn Nine-Nine show. And there was a few Brooklyn Nine-Nine actors in this, but then, it's done by Romulon and NBC, so those actors kind of just went straight into the Twisted Metal show, it would seem. No Andy Samberg, sadly. But yeah, I would say, look, watch it, and you're either going to really hate it, or you're going to be like, alright, this is so ridiculous, but I have to keep watching because it's so silly. Or you're just going to genuinely find moments that you like and all of that. It's not going in my worst of 2023. Even though it's crap, it's not going in my worst, because I found things that I enjoyed in it. Especially Stephanie Beecham and Sweet Tooth. So, with that, overall, I'm going to give this show... I can only give it a 6 out of 10. But if you know me, that's still not bad. Like, it's not, it's 6 out of 10 is the best I can give it. And that's being generous. Because I genuinely thought by the end of this, I would have given it like a 1 or a 2. And the 2 would have gone to Stephanie Beecham and Sweet Tooth characters. That's where my points would have gone. But there was enough little pockets in there to kind of be like, okay, fine. And then the ending of setting up the Twisted Metal tournament, I'm like, okay, that's great. That gets it a few extra points. And that is it, really. So, yeah, either watch it or don't watch it. Doesn't matter. You're going to get something out of it either way. And that is all. That is the end of my review. Please check out so many other videos that we have got coming. Things are getting busy now. We have entered the super busy territories. And, we've got the Star Trek stuff. We've got, Secret Invasion finished. We did a quick video on that. And so nobody cares about that bloody show. But, there's fan film reactions. There's the Friday night, The World's Gone Insane podcast. Plenty of things to see. So check them out. And on that note, let normality resume. Bye.